Welcome. Thank you for joining today. So, this is our first unit in this class. It's an intro to human body systems. I thought this would be great to start the year off with. Biology is the study of life. We, as humans, are living things. So, why not study ourselves? I mean, we all like to talk about ourselves, think about ourselves. So, why not learn about ourselves as well, biologically, I should say. Before I jump into this, I do want to remind you, while you are watching this video or reviewing the slides that go along with this video, make sure that you also have your notebook open and ready to go. That way, as we go through the different vocabulary words and the different topics, you have this open, ready to go, and you can do it as we are also doing this presentation. So like I explained, this is our form of taking notes this year, so you should be doing this as we go. Of course, you can always watch the video and come back to this later. However, it is a good idea to have both open at the same time, so you can pause the video, come over to your notebook, fill it out, and then come back to the video, doing it at your own pace. All right, so let us get started. Excellent. So we are going to be looking at all the different body systems that are inside of our bodies. Now, there are some questions you should be keeping in mind as we go through this. And number one is, how is your body put together? So, like I mentioned, there's a bunch of different body systems. What are these body systems? How do they work together? How are they put together? Number two, what are all the major body systems? What are the main structures of those body systems? And what is the main function of that body system? So this is just sort of the basics of the unit right here. Number three, later, we're going to be looking more in depth of the nervous system and how the nervous system works. And then at the end of this unit, number four, we're going to be looking at how does the nervous system maintain what we call homeostasis in your body. So I'm going to come back to this word homeostasis and what that actually means later. But in this particular video, we're going to be looking at questions 1 and 2. All right, so let's start with the first question. How is your body put together and organized? So like I said, your body is put into different body systems that all have a different function that contribute to your survival. So you might have heard of some of these either organs or body systems. We all have a heart. It's located on the left side of our body. I think this is mirror image, so it might look like the right on the screen. Left, right. Okay. Left side is your heart. We all know that we have a brain in our head. You probably have heard of your lungs, which are used for breathing. So we have all these different organs, and they are part of different body systems that do different things. And kind of like what I was just saying, your body systems, they can be broken down into different parts. These are your organs, and each organ or each part has a slightly different function that contributes to the function of the body system as a whole. So think about it like this. We have an overall human, and that overall human can be broken down into different systems, such as the circulatory system, digestive system, nervous system, respiratory system. There's a bunch of them. We're going to go through them within each system. So as an example, within the digestive system, that's how you eat food, break it down, absorb the nutrients, and poop it out later. That system can be broken down into different parts, such as your stomach, your small intestines, your large intestines. That's called an organ. So an organ is a structure in your body that performs a specific function. So that's what I mean by number 2 up here. So for example, your stomach has a different function than your small intestines. Your small intestines have a different function than your large intestines. But when you put all of these organs together that work together, that is called an organ system. So a group of organs that work together to perform a specific body function. So I'm going to pause for a second and again remind you that we just got our first 2 vocab words right here. So that now is a good time to pause the video, come over to your notebook, and fill in both organ and organ system in your notebook right here. And back to present, please. Thank you. Okay, so I realize these are just a bunch of words on a page. Let me show you what I mean. So our bodies are organized in a very specific way. So if we're looking at our human right here, our organism, like I said, we are made out of a bunch of different organ systems or a bunch of different body systems. This one is showing you the digestive system. So we have the stomach, and then that's leading into the small intestines right here. And then the small intestines are leading into the large intestines right here until the poop comes out at the bottom right here. It also is showing your liver and gallbladder, but we don't need to worry about that. So this entire body system as a whole, like I said, has a specific job to do for your body. Now, after we take that body system or that organ system, we can break that down into specific organs that each have a more specific job to do. So this is showing you a picture of the stomach. So we took this stomach right here, we zoomed in on it. So specifically within the body system of the digestive system. Ooh, I'm sorry. I don't know why. Ooh, I apologize. I'm getting button happy. So like I was saying, we have our body system, our digestive system. It is responsible for taking the food that we eat, breaking it down so our bodies can use those nutrients, and then getting rid of the waste out of our butts when we poop. And we can take that body system and break it down into its organs. So more specifically, the stomach's job is just slightly different from the entire body system. So the stomach's job is mostly to start to chemically and physically break down the food that we eat into smaller pieces. Now, keep in mind that is breaking the food down. It is not absorbing the nutrients from the food. So that's why we need other organs within a body system to maintain the entire function of that body system. Now, in that organ, you can break it down even further into what we call tissues. And again, each tissue is going to have a slightly more specific job than the organ itself. And we can take that tissue and we can break it down into what we call cells. This is the basic unit to build all sorts of life. We are going to come back to cells in more detail, but just know that, again, we can break all this stuff down into smaller pieces. So your body is made out of millions upon billions of cells. When you put them together, they make a tissue. When you put tissues together, they make organs, etc. But we can take this cell and break it down even further into what we call cell organelles. And again, each cell organelle has a specific job to keep the cell alive. So the cell can be a part of the tissue, which can be a part of the organ, which has a specific job within the organ system that keeps you alive. Are we getting the idea here? We can then take that organelle, break it down further into molecules, and then again, take those molecules, break them down, a macromolecule, which is a large molecule. We can take the macromolecule, break it down into a smaller molecule, and then we can take that molecule and again, break it down into an atom, which is the smallest unit of matter. So we are going to be coming back to this smaller stuff a little bit later this year. So if this isn't fully making sense, it's okay. What you need to know right now is that our bodies are highly specifically organized systems that cause us to have specific functions in order for us to survive. So what we're going to be looking at right now is mostly on the organ system level so that we can keep the entire organism or entire living thing alive. All right, so this is just another way to organize all the different body systems. I have all of them listed out right here. We're going to be going through them in alphabetical order. For each body system, I'm going to be talking about the main structures of that body system and the main function of that body system. So let's pause one more time. If you come back over to your notebook, right here, you can see that I have all the different body systems. They are in alphabetical order. So as we are going through this presentation, make sure you pause, fill out your slide before going on to the next one. All right, and we're back over here. So keep in mind, this is a little organizational table for you, a little graphic organizer. When I go on to the next slide, you'll see that I've basically taken one section of this table and expanded it. And so we're going to see one section at a time, but at the end of this, we should be able to put all of these sections together to fill it in. So again, this is just a way to help keep you organized. All right, so like I said, starting with the circulatory system, going in alphabetical order, the circulatory system is basically talking about your blood. So your heart pumps your blood. We have different blood vessels called veins, arteries, and capillaries. And basically, veins and arteries are bigger blood vessels. Capillaries are smaller blood vessels. They're all over your body. But like it says here, the function is to transport blood, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nutrients, and waste around the body. So the heart is responsible for pumping. That's what keeps things moving around your body. And then the arteries, veins, and capillaries are containing all of that stuff and moving it around in a very systematic way. So the job of the circulatory system is to transport all this different stuff around your body where it needs to go. So I like to compare it to maybe like an Uber or something. You call the Uber, and that way it takes you where you want to go. And so that's what your circulatory system does. So for your digestive system, I talked a little bit about this earlier, but it's made out of your mouth, stomach, small intestines, large intestines, and pancreas. These are the main structures. There are more, and we are going to be going into more detail later this year. But also what I touched on, the function says to break down food, take up the nutrients in your food, and pass the nutrients to the circulatory system to distribute them in your body. And in this process, you're also creating solid waste, aka poop. The scientific word for poop is feces. So again, we're seeing that this specific function of the digestive system is to take the food you eat, break it down so your body can absorb those nutrients in order to use them, and then is taking what's left over and creating some waste so it can get rid of that waste from your body. All right, excretory system. This one sounds a little bit different, but this is basically how your body makes pee or urine. So urine is the science word for pee. So the main structures are the kidney, the liver, and your skin, which is, interesting that we're including the skin in how you make your pee. But the main function of this, like it says, is to filter the blood, collect waste, and remove the waste from the body through urination. So your kidneys are basically a large filtration system. And your blood, because remember, the blood is what circulates all the stuff throughout your body. It's what transports all the stuff throughout your body. It goes through this filtration system, and the kidneys determine either keep it or throw it away. And so if you keep it, it goes back into your blood so your body can transport it and use it. If your body decides to throw it away, it moves itself into the bladder until it is full and you're ready to go pee. And that's when you urinate to get rid of the liquid waste that's in your body. The skin is also part of the excretory system just because it has sweat glands and other glands in it that help you eliminate some other waste as well. Like I said, we're going to be coming back to all of these systems in much more detail later this year. Up next is the immune system. This will be an interesting one to talk about this year. So the main structures are your white blood cells, and more specifically, they are called B cells and T cells. And then the main function is to fight off any infection or invading bacteria or virus. And that's why I said this is going to be interesting to talk about a little bit later this year because we have COVID going on. And so, our immune systems are really important to make sure that we stay healthy. And if we do get COVID or any other type of virus or bacterial infection, this is how our bodies fight it off to keep us alive and to keep us healthy. So, like I said, we are going to be coming back to this later this year. It should be a very interesting unit considering what's going on in the world right now. And hopefully you'll be able to take the information from this unit when we do it and apply it to your own life so you can better understand what's going on. All right, so then we have the integumentary system. This is your skin, hair, and nails. Each one has a slightly different function. We already talked about the skin a little bit, but the skin is also your body's largest organ, which is weird to think about. We don't really think about our skin as an organ, but it has some very specific jobs. So it does provide protection to the outside environment of the body, and it keeps you warm. So keep in mind, we have our skin right here. If we take our skin off, that means that all of our muscles, all of our blood vessels, everything underneath our skin is exposed to the outside world. Now, I think we all understand that that's a bad thing. Usually, if you skin someone, they end up dying. And then the other part of this, like I said, is to help keep you warm. As humans, we are warm-blooded, which means that we like to keep our internal body temperature at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 degrees Celsius. And that is where our body functions best. So our skin helps to insulate us to keep us warm. Our hair, so the hair on our head, and keep in mind we have hair all over our body as well. Our hair, again, helps to keep us warm. So the hair on your head helps to keep your head warm. The hair on your head also does provide some protection from the sun. So if you have the sun shining down on you at all times, which was more likely back before, civilizations happened and we spend all of our time inside, but especially when the sun is shining down on your head, the hair does provide that protection, so you're not getting sunburns or any other type of harmful sun exposure on the top of your head. Also, if you think about like eyebrows or eyelashes, that actually helps to keep the sun out of your eyes, which is kind of crazy to think about. And again, like I said, we do have little hairs all over our body. And so especially you might have experienced this when you've been cold and you get goosebumps. That's your body's way of trying to warm you up because it's using your hair to help insulate you more. Lastly, for the integumentary system, we have our nails. And basically, these are a great defense tool. So if you grow them out and someone's attacking you, you go and you scratch them. Or they're great for solving an itch that you have somewhere. This diagram right here is showing you a cross section of the skin. So up here we have our top layer of skin. You can see some hairs poking out. It's also showing you some of the glands that we have underneath our skin as well. So we have sweat glands and what else is in here? Sebaceous glands. Oh, that's a fun one we'll talk about later. And then it's also showing you another reason. So if you do get a cut, sometimes you bleed more than other times. And that's because at the bottom, I don't want to move the mouse because stuff will pop up. But at the bottom, you can see that there is other blood vessels. So like right here and then down here. And so when you cut deep enough, that's when you bleed. But if it's too shallow, you're not going to bleed because the blood vessels aren't necessarily there. So next we have the muscular system. This will be a fun one when we come back to it. But there are 3 types of muscle in your body. You have skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. So skeletal muscle is probably the muscle that you think about when you hear the word muscle. That's kind of what you're seeing in these pictures right here. And this type of muscle provides movement for the body. So that's why you're able to like wave hello or go for a walk. The smooth muscle is all inside your body. So you can't see it just by looking at a person. But some examples of this are your esophagus, which is the tube that connects your throat to your stomach. Your small intestines and your large intestines are also examples of smooth muscle. And this basically moves substances through your body. So if you imagine a tube of toothpaste and you squeeze from the bottom to the top and the toothpaste comes out, that's similar to how smooth muscle works to move substances throughout your body. The last type of muscle is cardiac muscle. And so this is the muscle that literally makes your heart. So we talked about the heart in terms of the circulatory system, and its job is to pump the blood through your body. And it's able to do that because it's a muscle. So it's literally contracting in order to push blood throughout your body. All right, next is the nervous system. So like I said, we are going to be coming back to this one in more detail probably in the next video that you see. But the main structures are neurons, your brain, and your spinal cord. And its job is to regulate body processes. So this is sort of like an overarching body system. It really works with all the other body systems out there. It's your control center. Hopefully you know that like your brain is what controls your entire body. And so because this is talking about your brain, this is also talking about how your brain is able to connect and communicate with the rest of your body to make sure that you are functioning properly. All right, reproductive system. This is how we make more babies. So this is going to be slightly different between biological males and biological females because it takes a biological male and a biological female to make a baby. So for a biological male, they have an epididymis, vas deferens, testes, and penis. And then for females, they have ovaries, fallopian tubes, a uterus, a cervix, and a vagina. And like I said, the main function for both biological males and biological females is to either make an egg cell, which is what females make, or to make a sperm cell, which is what males make. Also for the female, they have the extra function because females are where babies are carried for 9 months, but this is where the fertilization takes place, so where the sperm meets the egg, and this is also fetal development. So when a biological female is pregnant and the baby's growing in her uterus, that's also part of the reproductive system. All right, respiratory system. So the main structures are going to be your lungs, and specifically we're going to be talking about something called the alveoli and then a muscle that is called a diaphragm. And basically the function is, like it says, to provide entry for oxygen. Also, it allows carbon dioxide to exit the body and gas exchange between the alveoli and capillaries of the circulatory system. So every time we breathe in oxygen, it goes into our lungs. That oxygen is transported into our circulatory system so the oxygen can get to our cells. Every time we breathe out the carbon dioxide that our cells make, and we need to get out of the body. So the respiratory system is responsible for getting the oxygen in and getting the carbon dioxide out. Next up is the skeletal system. So main structures are all of your bones. And we have a skeleton because it provides structure and support and protection for the body. So structure, this is literally our layout. The fact that we have 2 arms, 2 legs, a torso, a head, all of that structure. The support, so we're able to stand up because we have bones. They literally help us stand up. If we didn't have bones, we'd all be like a puddle on the floor. And the protection aspect is actually coming from your ribs. So we have ribs not to provide like movement, structure, support necessarily, but inside your ribs, that's where your heart is located. That's where your lungs are located. Your stomach is actually up in this portion of your ribs right here, kind of like at the very bottom region right here. And those are just very important organs for the body, so it needs some extra protection. That way, if someone comes up and just like punches you real hard, they're not going to stop your heart. It's going to be able to keep going. So those are all the body systems that we're going to be talking about this year. I'm going to play this video as a review of the different body systems. Oh, that didn't play. All right, let's try it again. Playing the video. No, why not? Well, why will you not play? There it is.
Have you ever heard the phrase, "I know this like the back of my hand"? Well, it might make you question, do you really know the back of your hand? Because if you really look at your hand, you see your skin, but it's also what you can't see underneath that's pretty incredible. You can't see the millions of cells that make up your hand, at least not without a microscope. We take these cells for granted sometimes, but your body is made up of millions of cells. Cells that work together, cells that are very organized with specific functions, cells that carry your whole DNA code, but use specific parts of your DNA code depending on the cell's function. Your cells make up body tissues. Tissues make up organs, like your heart, for example. And organs are part of an organ system, like your circulatory system. Organ systems are so important for you to understand in order to know how your body works. And one thing to keep in mind is that organ systems, they don't work in isolation. They are not loners. No, they work together and they're part of a big team. So we're going to intro the 11 major organ systems. Now, keep in mind, this is just a quick intro, so we're doing the bare bones, no pun intended, of the systems. And because they are all important, it's kind of hard to know where to start. So we're going to go in alphabetical order because we don't want you to think that one system is way more important than another. First, the circulatory system. You think of blood, and you should, because blood carries gases like oxygen, which your body needs, and helps remove carbon dioxide, which your body needs to expel. Your blood also transports nutrients that your body needs. Your heart is included in the system. It's a pumping machine that transports the blood around. Arteries are vessels that typically carry blood away from the heart. Think A for away. And veins typically carry blood back to the heart. And capillaries are tiny blood vessels throughout your body. Did you ever hear this rumor that your blood is blue and then turns red when it reaches oxygen? Well, guess what? That's not really true. Your blood is red. It's always red, even inside your body, though the shade of red can vary slightly due to the amount of oxygen present. Veins may appear blue or even green to you through the skin, but it's actually related to the wavelengths of light, so to the Google for that. Okay, number 2, the digestive system. It's important for breaking down and absorbing food for your body to get nutrients. Digestion actually starts in the mouth. You have some awesome enzymes in your saliva that get this process going. Your stomach contains acid, which furthers this process along. Your small intestine does most of the absorption of nutrients, and your large intestine has to reabsorb a lot of the water from this process. And just to note, there are a lot of accessory organs also involved in this fascinating process. Third, the endocrine system. You know how you're bigger than you were when you were 6 years old? Unless you are 6 years old. Growth hormone is a hormone that's made a big impact on you. Or another example, notice how your heart starts to race when you have a big test that maybe you haven't studied for. Well, that's another hormone, adrenaline. The endocrine system includes many glands that secrete hormones like those examples. Another system that starts with E is number 4, the excretory system. I like to think exit for excretory because this system is all about excreting waste. And I'm not talking about feces because that's still the digestive system. More like urine. This system involves your kidneys, which are in your lower back. The kidneys assist in removing waste from the blood. And you know they're important because anyone with impaired kidneys may need to go on a machine called dialysis to replace that function. The excretory system also includes other ways of removing waste, such as sweating. Okay, number 5, the integumentary system. This long, fancy word, it's appropriate for your largest organ, your skin. Your skin helps protect your organs from outside damage. It helps with temperature regulation and from losing precious water. Number 6, the lymphatic/immune system. Has anyone ever checked your lymph nodes on your neck when you feel sick? Well, you have many lymph nodes, and they tend to swell during some illnesses. See, lymph is this clear fluid from blood plasma. It surrounds your cells, and this system collects, filters, and returns the lymph to blood, and the major role is to help with immune function. This keeps your body safe against pathogens like viruses and bacteria. Structures like lymph nodes, the thymus, spleen, tonsils, and bone marrow, they all play a significant role in your immune system. Okay, so now we're more than halfway done with our intro, so Hang in there. Number 7, the muscular system. No bones about it. Your bones can't do much without muscle to move them. You actually have 3 major types of muscle tissue, known as skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscle. Number 8, the nervous system. Your body would be a nervous wreck without something to coordinate it. That always helps me remember it. The nervous system includes your brain and your spinal cord. It controls voluntary actions. That's what you can control, like picking up a pencil. And involuntary actions, the ones you can't control, such as reflexes. At the cellular level, the nervous system uses cells known as neurons. With their amazing structure, these cells are kind of the cool cells on the block. Number 9, the reproductive system. Like it sounds, this system includes reproductive organs. The major function here is that it allows for animals to reproduce. So think babies. Number 10, the respiratory system. This involves the lungs, and this system involves the intake of oxygen into the body and exhaling carbon dioxide from the body. Remember that your cells need this oxygen, and they need to get rid of carbon dioxide in order to function correctly. Number 11, the skeletal system. Bones. Adults have 206 bones, and you had more at birth, but some bones, they fuse together, and these bones support you, they protect your organs, think rib cage, and they even produce blood cells from the bone marrow that's inside the bone. Understanding how the human body works is fascinating, and it's necessary so that we can figure out what to do when things go wrong. There are doctors that specialize specifically with each of these systems. But the most amazing part to us is their beauty and how they work together, working every second to let you do the things that you do. Want an example? Well, let's say that when the bell rings at the end of the day, you're going to race your friend down the hall. Think of all the body systems interacting for that to happen. Your respiratory system is going to increase its breathing rate, and that extra oxygen is going to be delivered throughout the circulatory system to your body tissues. Your muscles are interacting with the skeletal system for movement. These are just some interactions of the systems working together for that one example. The human body is just truly a magnificent masterpiece. Well, that's it for the Amoeba Sisters, and we remind you to stay curious.
All right, cool. Wait for it. Are we done? There it is. Okay, so thank you guys for listening into this presentation. Hopefully that video was a good summary of all the different body systems. I know this was a lot of information. This is just an introduction. We are going to be spending much more time going in depth for each body system over the course of this school year. As a reminder, as we went through the presentation, hopefully you were able to fill out most of the slides for the vocabulary in this slide deck. So looking at all of these, there should only be, I believe, 3 words you have not yet been able to fully fill in. And that is going to be negative feedback loop, positive feedback loop, and homeostasis. All the other words you should have been able to fill in over the course of this presentation. Also, as a next step, just so you are aware, there is a slide for you to, again, create a little graphic organizer of all the different body systems and what we've talked about. So in each box, you would list the different organs in that system. And then in this box over here, you would write in the function for that specific body system. Feel free to reference the slide deck. Feel free to reference this presentation. Feel free to reference your own notebook. So as always, if you guys have any questions, please reach out by either logging back onto the Google Meet and asking your question as we go. You can send an email, you can post a comment in Google Classroom or in the chat on Google Meet. But thank you guys for tuning in. You were a fabulous audience.